Can the air we breathe shorten our lifespan? Scientific research has clearly established that particle pollution and ozone are a threat to human health at every stage of life, increasing the risk of premature birth, causing or worsening lung and heart disease, and shortening lives. One new study by the AQLI finds that particulate air pollution takes 2.2 years off global average life expectancy, or a combined 17 billion life years relative to a world that met the World Health Organization (WHO) guideline. This impact on life expectancy is greater than that of smoking. Cigarette smoking in total reduces life expectancy by 1.9 years. Whereas it is possible to quit smoking or take precautions against diseases, everyone must breathe air. Thus, air pollution affects many more people. The World Health Organization, WHO, recently revised its guideline from 10 UGM3 to 5 UGM3 for what it considers a safe level of exposure of particulate pollution, bringing most of the world, 97.3% of the global population, into the unsafe zone. Reducing air pollution to meet international health guidelines would increase the global average life expectancy from roughly 72 to 74.2 years. Sustained enforcement of strong air pollution policies in the United States has significantly reduced particulate pollution. Since the Clean Air Act was enacted in 1970, particulate pollution has declined by 66.9%. extending the life expectancy of an average American by 1.4 years. Despite this success, the latest scientific evidence on the impact of air pollution at even the low levels that exist in much of the United States reveals that 92.8% of the population is now considered to be living in areas with unsafe levels of pollution. In the United States, average pollution was 7.1 UGM3 in 2020, slightly above the WHO guideline. At this level, residents could expect to gain roughly 2.5 months from clean air, equivalent to 68 million total life years. Some Americans could add more than a year to their lives if they lived in a place with cleaner air. In 2020, 19 out of the top 20 most polluted counties in the United States were in California. Average pollution concentrations ranged from 13.0 micrograms per cubic meter in Sierra County to 22.6 micrograms per cubic meter in Mariposa County. In Mariposa, residents stand to gain 1.7 years of life expectancy if air quality were kept below the WHO guideline. For those living in the smog capital of Los Angeles, particulate pollution has declined by almost 53%, extending life expectancy for the average Angelino by 1.3 years. The average Californian could expect a roughly 7-month further boost to lifespan if air quality met standards. Air pollution can affect not only the lungs but also the heart and many other organs. Extensive research has linked short-term increases in particle pollution to increased mortality in infants, increased hospital admissions for cardiovascular disease, including heart attacks and strokes, increased hospital admissions and emergency department visits for COPD, and increased severity of asthma attacks and hospitalization for asthma among children. Long-term exposure increases risk of death from cardiovascular and respiratory causes, including heart disease, stroke, influenza, and pneumonia. Researchers also found an association between exposure to fine particle pollution and an increased risk of death from lung cancer among never smokers. Long-term exposure is also linked to a higher likelihood of developing diabetes, impaired cognitive functioning, and an increased risk of Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and other dementias later in life. Ozone air pollution, sometimes known as smog, is one of the most widespread pollutants in the United States. In addition to particulate air pollution, it is also one of the most dangerous. The damage ozone does to the body can be deadly. Living with ozone pollution long-term may cause lasting damage to respiratory health. The State of the Air Report, which looks at two of the most widespread and dangerous air pollutants, fine particles and ozone, finds that despite decades of progress on cleaning up sources of air pollution, more than 40% of Americans, over 137 million people, are living in places with failing grades for unhealthy levels of particle pollution or ozone. Spikes in particle pollution and high ozone days related to wildfires and extreme heat are putting millions more people at risk. There is not much you can do in the short term about your air quality, but you can move. I chose to move to Honolulu, Hawaii, which is ranked as the #3 cleanest US city, from New York, New York, which gets a failing grade for ozone pollution. You can use the Compare Your Air tool to preview your potential move and get a report card on your current location. Longer term, we should continue to push for improvements in air quality globally. We could all use the extra years. Like and follow for more. ForeverYoungLifestyleHandbook.com